Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Study Room podcast. To the ones who are listening, today's episode is very special. I already told my guests that I'm a bit nervous, but it will all be well and done. And today we have a special guest. I would say that no one really, probably from the viewers that we have, might actually know you. But nonetheless, I think you're a very valuable person, and you've been very valuable to me. So when I had the chance to, of course, speak to you, I was like, gotta do it, gotta reach out. And yeah, luckily it has made happen. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Christian.
Thank you for having me on, man. Much appreciated.
First off, how do you pronounce your last name? I've always had difficulty with the last name.
Yeah, but it's like we pronounce it Zeron. Zeron, which is pretty much a butchered version of Zeron, which is a Spanish surname, which comes from people who made wax. So my family's beekeepers historically, I think. So that's kind of cool.
Ah,
I'm not. I
amazing.
think that I often wonder. I said, I work very hard as an entrepreneur every day, and then I say maybe one day I'll retire to a farm and keep bees and drink wine, and maybe that would be rather apropos. That's the retirement.
Yeah, no, definitely. So for this little conversation that we are going to have, I kind of want to touch upon multiple aspects of you, of course, of the things that you do. So some of it is going to be like your earlier, younger years. Some of it is also like your career. As I know you from mainly from Theo and Harris, and we will get a little bit into that. Also, a little bit about hard work and importance in, I guess, knowing, what you want to do in life, and also, of course, storytelling, which is your main, let's say, cup of tea. But
Fantastic, fantastic.
let's start off, with your childhood. Let's start from the beginning. Let's make it as a nice little story arc, a hero's journey.
Yeah,
Can you give a short rundown of your childhood till, I guess, till the
yeah.
moment that you are right now?
Yeah, so I was born. I'm from New Jersey. I was raised in New Jersey, to a very at the time barely middle class, maybe upper lower class family. When I was born, when I was a child. I mean, not just when I grew up into my early years. My dad was delivering pizza and running bussing tables at restaurants while he worked a pharmaceutical job making, I think he was making, 26,000 dollars a year. And, he was really, he was doing his best. He was a young guy. My parents got married at, 26, 27, which I'm 27 and I can't imagine, being in his position. So I was definitely raised with that backdrop, right? That backdrop of just, life is really, really hard. And, at best, we hope to, put away a couple of dollars every couple of years and maybe take a little vacation, also, leveraging credit cards. I mean, my parents just, they didn't really have anything, but they definitely believed in each other. My parents they're a funny story. It's, you know, they love each other for sure, but they are more impressive to me as partners than they are as husband and wife.
Mm.
That which has become really important to me now in my late 20s. It's at the bedrock. They just believe that they would ultimately be able to have a socially mobile family, maybe children that would one day enter the upper class. Who knows? So
Yeah.
anyway, I was raised with a lot of great work ethic. I was treated as an adult very, very early. Because my parents weren't rich, they didn't coddle me at all, which is very common now that I see it with my rich friends. And the kids that I grew up with that were rich, they were often very coddled.
Mm.
It's very rare, I find, to find a rich family that didn't fuck up their kids with coddling. So I almost I look at it as kind of a blessing that I was born and was raised in a time where my family was really just doing their fucking best, and had dreams but no material yet. It wasn't until I was in like almost going into college that my dad started doing well. My dad's actually an executive now in the pharmaceutical industry and he does very well. But that is recent. Like that's the last. I'm 27 and that's the last 8 years, 10 years. So it was not like that. My story is not
Mm.
a story of corporate raiders by any means. So yeah, that's the backdrop. Beautiful family, just very close, very communicative. Yeah, can do attitude completely. And it's all of these things are really what has made me who I am, and these are the common traits that I see in people that are people that I look up to. A lot of these people were raised with very similar, messaging. Just good composure, work ethic, honesty, but can do attitude. It sounds silly, it sounds cliche, but man, a lot of my peers who there's no reason why I'm more successful than them. It came down to a lot of attitude. It just came down to feeling very like nihilistic, just this very almost depressive existentialism and powerlessness. That's just not how I was raised, right? It's just not. My family
No.
was just like, come on, we can do anything. We can do it, even though we couldn't. But that was the attitude. So that's the
Yeah.
upbringing in a nutshell.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I'm more of like I was raised in like a middle income family, but I can still like it's a blessing in disguise. Not coming from a rich family, you don't see it at first because when you're kind of growing up, you're like, oh, I want this and this. And you hear no all the time. But once
Oh
you
yeah.
grow up and are kind of already making a name for yourself, and you see all these different dimensions, let's say all these different types of people, you do appreciate it way more. I totally appreciate the way that I was raised up. The older I get.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, while everything I just told you is true, but there were times, especially when I was in high school. When I went to high school, I went to a county school. It wasn't private; it was a public school. You had to test in, so a lot of different kinds of people went
Mhm.
there. And I was legitimately there were kids in my class that were their parents were billionaires, like actual billionaires. And I remember like really almost being down on myself, like down on my family. Like we had a nice enough house, but I remember being like, wow, what the how did I get dealt this hand? There was a good 6 months of almost embarrassment of not being born, with three houses. It was bad. And then fast forward a couple of years, into college, and then after college, those first 2 years after college, and all of a sudden everything is equal, right? Because yeah, well, you do have a shore home and I don't. We're both just lonely college grads with very little to our names, and now we've got to build it. Of course, being well connected certainly does help, and they are able to do something. But when you have a drink, when it's late at night, and you're really being introspective, which some people do very rarely, but they'll do it eventually. They know if they've done anything. They know if they have anything to be
Yeah.
proud of, and that's part of it. It's
No,
heaven and
definitely.
hell, I think, is decided in those introspective moments, where you say, fuck, I'm not what I look to be,
Yeah.
and maybe there is no smug, maybe that's the moment of smug clarity, maybe that's it. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
a couple of moments, but it's the best we've got.
No, definitely. Who were you in school? Were you always like the kid who made everyone kind of laugh? Were you like the, let's say, more like a studier kid? You learned a lot?
Yeah, I was funny, but I wasn't the funniest. Sal Florio was the funniest, no doubt. I was unpopular, really. I mean, I just really was unpopular. I was popular, and I was social enough to have people to talk to, but they weren't my friends, and they would not invite me out on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And in fact, I would pretty much avoid being in public on the weekend, even with my family, because I was perpetually afraid of running into my friends doing things without me. And I thought that if I didn't run into them, it didn't happen, and I could pretend like they all just hung out home like me. So that was a really sad, part of life. I am no longer really fueled by by the anger toward my classmates. It's just so the game is so far done at this point that I don't care. It's not a fun game anymore. But that was certainly a motivator for a long time. And not so much middle school as much as it was high school and college. Even when I started my entrepreneurial journey, again, living in New Jersey, and entrepreneurship, to what I from what I understand, really is more popular in other places in the country, more popular on the West Coast, more popular in Chicago. Here, it's kind of looked down upon. Um, you know, uh, and it was, because when I started, there's no reason to be vague. I'll be specific. I remember going out to drinks, and this wasn't just one time. This was multiple times. This is a really good example. I'm out to drinks with friends, right? And I had my first company, and it was like, it wasn't doing great, but we were kids. I mean, I graduated college. I was probably 21. And this, first year analyst from JP Morgan, who was a friend of a friend, said, like, kind of hit me on the shoulder, like, bro, very fratty, and said, how's that watch thing going? And I said, it's well, man. It's well. I mean, I really like it. And he goes, good. I'm glad you like it. I mean, I'm glad someone gets to do what they like. Other people, well, we have to make the money. And I remember saying to
Yeah.
myself, you smug cunt, I am going to make so much more money than you. And that became the enemy, that whole kind of culture of condescension and people who looked down upon people. That's, again, that's just not how I was raised. My one grandfather was a janitor, and the other one was a cab driver. We weren't looking down on anybody in society. We were just fucking nice,
Yeah.
So I hated that shit, and that was my enemy for years. Now I don't know. Maybe I need to find a new enemy, but because I don't think I have one at the moment. But hey, listen, if you give me a whiskey, I'm sure I'll think of it up.
No, yeah. I guess getting back to the moment where you were like, okay, like I didn't chill out that much. I didn't, hang out with my friends. So how did you grow out of it? Like, what was like the kind of things that you did that really you
Yeah,
became more comfortable and
yeah. Really, just I became a really good storyteller, because I wasn't with my friends doing, fucking around, dicking around. I was with my family, and my family, my extended family. They're all, Italian American people from Brooklyn, and if you're familiar with that, culture at all, that they're very good storytellers, because none of them had jobs, and they all just hung around all day and smoked cigarettes and played cards and told stories. So that's what I did when I wasn't smoking cigarettes with them. But that's all I did. All I did was listen to them and learn how to tell stories. That's it. Then I started watching movies, because I love them, and I watched movies that I could relate to. I really got into Martin Scorsese. He had a very similar story to mine, or rather, I had a similar story to his, kind of being unpopular and learning the art of the oral tradition. But it was just second nature. The idea was like, if you're not funny, if you're not a good storyteller, if you're not good at this, you're only going to have our attention for, a very short while. So I got good at it. And then I guess, as I got a little bit older, before I even turned it into a business, years before, I got through puberty, I got a little bit better looking, and then I'm in a new environment. So now I have a fresh start, right? I'm not Christian, the unpopular kid. I'm just another kid. So, my storytelling ability started to, do well for me socially,
yeah.
socially.
No, nice. Just to I guess give you, maybe you don't know this that much, but we are like a university in the Netherlands, and we see, because we have like 80% of our students we have in are international students. So they just come
Mm.
from anywhere from the world, 28 different nationalities. They come here to study. They don't know anyone. Even for me, I'm originally from Estonia, and I came to the
Wow.
Netherlands 3 years ago. I didn't know anyone. And, kind of being like a nobody, it can get to your head sometimes. It can get to your head. But it's also like, you know that, okay, look, it is, to me, it was also felt like it was a superpower. Like I could, just do my stuff, focus on myself. I don't have to worry about this kind of pleasing others. But
Yeah.
really coming to a new country and like experiencing just newness, it can be very demoralizing for a lot of people, even for our students.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, isolation, anywhere. I mean, that's why in prison they have the hole, right? I don't know if they have it in Netherlands, maybe against The Hague. I don't know, but here, they have solitary confinement. You're confined in a cell for 23 hours a day, and that's if they give you your 1 hour, on the lot. I mean, that's it's built, to to dehumanize us. And it happens voluntarily outside, right? People lock themselves in their homes, or by accident, right? I mean, it's just it's tough. Emotionally, it can be very difficult, but we create our own prisons sometimes too, but we've got to be social, whether we like it or not. It's just healthy for us, and then you can get good at it, and getting good at being social.
Yeah.
That's a hell of an ability. That is a hell of an ability.
Definitely, definitely. Some people are kind of, not say born with it, but are ahead of other people. Some people have gotten kind of, let's say, like a kickstart, and others have to kind of grow up,
Well, for
go to the same
sure,
level at least.
no, for sure. I mean, plenty of people are, they're born incredibly apt, and others just aren't. But at the end of the day, I mean, that is an explanation, but that isn't an excuse, because at the end of the day, you're the one that has to, pay the bill for your, lack of ability. No one else is paying that bill, right? So we can talk about
Yeah.
why it is, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's just, you're the one that's going to have to suffer. I don't mean you as in Stefan. I just mean you as in, anybody. It's just so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Let's get back to your education. Let's get back to your childhood. What were like some of the good things that you remember from school days?
Good question. Truthfully, not much. Not much. I don't think I had that many great professors. I think I'm talking about grade school and then high school. I didn't have a lot of great professors. The one great professor I had in grade school was like fired. He wasn't given tenure. He was fantastic professor, an English professor. He may be the first person that inspired me to write. He would play music on Fridays for like an hour, and we would have to write for the whole hour. And I guess it's a simple exercise, obviously, but it certainly got you in the habit of kind of raking your brain for a story and constructing one, whether it was good or not. It usually wasn't good, right? But it didn't matter. That he definitely stoked my first interest. He made English kind of interesting. High school, maybe again one professor, not great. Then I went to college. I had intended on going to law school. And in America, we take the law school admissions test, the LSAT, and the two highest scoring majors on the LSAT were mathematics, and I'm not very good at math, and then two, religion, which people are surprised by, but religion, whether you are religious or not, the idea of studying these ideas, whether they're true or not, that doesn't matter. Is a good mental exercise to grapple with these subjects. And the statistic was showing us that the folks who were able to grapple with the idea of religion, were more, ready to think critically and analytically. So I studied religion. I studied Catholic studies. It was bizarre. I grew up, Roman Catholic, but not very religious by any means. It's more of a tradition than it is a belief system. So far as suburban, I don't mean that in general. I just mean where I'm from. And my professors were brilliant. I mean, they were just brilliant. They were priests by and large, and they were absolutely brilliant people. I had such an incredible experience in college. I finished college in 3 years, so that's quick. But it was incredible. It was a great 3 years. I learned a ton. I learned how to think. I learned tough love in the education system. I learned. I read the most incredible things. I mean, it's again, it sounds cliche, but reading Dante's Divine Comedy was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. My professor was brilliant. My professor opened my eyes. He almost made me religious. That's how good he was. He just opened my eyes to demanding more from yourself when reading a text. To not gloss over a reference, to not gloss over an allusion, but to really dig deep in there, to find something, to find the meaning, which now is a large part of what I do when it comes to brand positioning and running my marketing agency. It's reviewing material, and where other people may glance through and not understand that something, one word even, might be important, finding that word and then building an entire, brand position on its back. The most recent example, I can't say the client, but the word home. one of America's largest, most famous companies. We're doing large engagements for them, and the word home, which is a simple word that obviously has just become this. It's become a titan in their brand plan, and and rightfully so. So it's stuff like that. It's yeah, college is incredible. College is incredible.
Yeah. What what was your kind of thought process when you were at the age of 18, 19, 20? At that moment where I guess you finish high school. I don't really exactly know the system,
Mm-hmm.
which is in America. But what was your what was going through your head at that point?
I mean, at that point, I had gotten past the self-loathing for not being rich, and I was just aspirational. I had always wanted to be an attorney. I would have been a good attorney. I took an internship at a very prominent law firm that I was very passionate about. And to be honest, I mean, I not fell out of love with the law, but became, yeah, I was made aware of the reality of corporate law and the lifestyle that goes along with it. And essentially, similar to finance, investment banking, you need to give up a minimum of 10, usually over 15 years of your life to that, to amass wealth. And I had no interest in that. So far as I saw it, I had no time to give up. Money is very important to me, but it wasn't that important to me. I would not be. I very much like Dickens, saw the ghost of Christmas future. I said, if I do this, I'm going to regret this on my deathbed. I will regret giving away 10 years because on your deathbed, you wish you had another 2 years. And now I'm going to start doing the math and saying, shit, I gave away 14. I gave away 14 of my best years to a law firm that doesn't, it just doesn't matter. I could have been doing so many more, valuable things for my soul, And I said, fuck this, man. Fuck this. They were offering us basically $200,000 a year coming out of law school. And that was a lot of money. And we knew that if you made partner, you would be making, several $1,000,000 a year. So it was a surefire way to become rich. But I said, I'd rather fucking be middle class the rest of my life, and not be a corporate law attorney. Corporate attorney. I just won't do it. So that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't go to law school. I started building my company, or I continued to build my company. I actually had it already, but it was more of a side project in college, and that was it. I didn't look back. My mother wanted to kill me. My mother wanted a white collar, impressive person in the family. And I basically said, listen, I know this isn't what you want, meaning me being an entrepreneur, but I'm going to do it. So if you get behind me, meaning if you support me, we will have a higher likelihood that I will succeed. If you stand, in my opposition, I will not flourish in those circumstances. I will flourish in the opposition of others, but not of my mother. Uh, so if you stand against me, I will be less likely to succeed. And it's as simple as that. And she was like, fuck you and your fucking stubborn, logic train. And I was right. And she stood behind me, and she ended up working for me 3 years later, I think, and she's working for me since. So yeah.
It's amazing. What do you think is like the most common thing you see amongst young people that slows them down on reaching their dreams and goals?
Oh, geez. The list is probably very long. You know, I think naivety is a huge impediment that I just didn't have. Again, my family, I was, my dad would never raise a naive son. It just would never happen. My dad, you know, my dad would, I would get home from school after I mean, sometimes being bullied, but generally just not being liked. And I would come home and my dad would put out his hands and we would practice boxing, fighting. And he would tell me to rile me up, they're not your friends. And he was right. It sounds fucked up to say that, but he would like root me on, and kind of let me get my energy out. And the most important thing from that, my dad did teach me how to fight, and, that was nice. But really, it was being sort of callous. Um, not being a soft suburban kid that thinks that things are going to work out, because that's what my peers. That's what happened. I mean, all of my peers, they just assumed things would go fine. They just like went to college, and they just they made their decisions after giving no thought to what would success look like, and then what is the pathway of least resistance to that success. They never thought about that. Never. Whereas in my
Mm.
family, it was, that's all that mattered. Everything was practical. Nothing was flim flammy. It just didn't exist. Didn't exist. I went to
Mm.
a high school where I took theater classes, and I liked theater. I was a pretty good actor. I liked it. And that's how my other friends were doing. They liked acting. I was there because I wanted to be a trial attorney. And I knew that if I learned how to speak in public, and how to tell a story, and how to convey emotion, that's invaluable. Because the kids I may be going up against as my competing trial attorneys, they may be really good attorneys, but I will have better courtroom decorum. I will carry that jury. So it was from a
Yeah.
very young age thinking very just very with a lot of purpose. With a lot of decisions were made with function and purpose, and I feel bad for my peers because they just weren't taught that at all, and now they're paying they're paying the price of those of that no consequence thinking. It's fucking poison.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, speaking from personal experience, to me, it is a big thing that's always kind of slowed me down, especially at a younger age, was kind of just like doubting myself or like having those limiting beliefs. Even me growing up, my parents were not, I was kind of always left alone to do my stuff, just got to wander around. I didn't really have that much, my parents didn't really like have that much influence on me on like the scale of like working and stuff, which is, totally fine. And, I kind of grew up out of that mold by watching people who I look up to on YouTube or reading books. So one of them was you. There was also some other ones as well that I remember. But like really having those limiting beliefs. And I see that actually also with our students that we have here. Sometimes like they want to do something, but just something just stops them. It's like taking that one step. It's very difficult to take that one next step that actually, puts you into motion.
Oh yeah, and you really, after you are done with your exploratory phase, right? And you think that you have a pretty good pathway to success, and using success as a loose term, right? A term that just is really kind of whatever goal you're looking to achieve. Once you've got that pathway, you've got to jump. That's it. Again, no one else is going to jump for you, and no one else is going to pay that bill at 50 when you didn't. That regret is yours. So there was a good quote that I heard. It's very simple. It was becoming a man is real hard work, but it sure as hell beats the alternative, because the
Mm.
alternative is being a boy forever. I mean, who
Yeah.
the fuck wants to be a boy forever? And I again, when I sit here and have a scotch at night, yeah, you think fondly about childhood because there are beautiful memories there, but it's fondly. Whereas I know people that think back on their childhood as the last time everything was okay, right? Because they
Mm.
never grew up, and that is just that'll break your heart, man. That'll break your fucking heart.
Yeah. Definitely. I think the biggest, like, I have so much respect to people who, like international students. So the people who come at the age of 18 or 19, they say, you know what? Let me go abroad. Let me go to a completely different environment. It's such a big move to do when you're young. Like that young, you're doing such a massive move, going away from your family, really just being by yourself and building a life up somewhere else. It is so commendable. I always take my hat off to everyone. I always had that
Sure.
inkling of respect.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember when I was I was in the army for a little stint because we have to do our mandatory service, and I was always speaking to my, like, let's say, teammates or the people who was at the same kind of group with, and I was just asking, oh, so what's your plans? What do you want to do after the army's over? And some people were like, yeah, I just want to become a mechanic here at my old town. And to me, that sounded crazy. I was like, wait, like what? Like you have the whole world to explore. But some people do like think small, and others, think more bigger. And the ones who do take that step, I mean, of course, if you're happy doing it, hats off, more respect to you. But knowing that you have a chance to explore the world and you don't choose to do it, that's some guilt that will be with the rest of your life.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. A lot of what I talk about with friends is, you know, understanding that your life needs to be, net significant positive in joy, right? That being said, where you derive that joy from is flexible. It doesn't need to be in your 9 to 5 job. It doesn't. Your 9 to 5 job probably needs to be tolerable. It probably needs to be good, even good. But even with a tolerable or good 9 to 5, you can have an incredibly successful life. Even if you're making regular money, right? Like regular money, not that satisfying job, but what you're doing outside of work, whether it's traveling, whether it's developing meaningful relationships, learning to cook, which is like, that's my thing. It can be just, life can be so incredible. And yeah, you want to naturally have a job that you love, and that's great. But, sometimes having a job you just like, is okay. It's okay. The point is that it needs to be just a net significant positive. So maybe someone likes being a mechanic, but that's not where their pride and joy is coming from, right? Their pride and joy is the fact that they, have an incredible relationship with their wife, that they're a really good uncle, and that's beautiful. And while they can't maybe afford to travel as often as they'd like, they recreate, their memories at home, whether that's with a charcuterie board, who knows, but no, I agree with you that the disgruntled local that never saw anything, that is a shitty way to go through life. That is shitty. But there are people obviously that, do demand less of the world. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine, but that doesn't. It's not an excuse to not be fulfilled. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like what I do. I like my work. I'm good at my work. I like cooking a lot more. Right? I like cooking a lot.
What is your favorite dish to cook then?
Oh, gee, I cook mostly Italian food, Italian and Spanish food. I just enjoy it. Like, especially when work is super busy, the idea of trying to turn off at 6 and put something in my AirPods and just, make a perfect carbonara or a really rustic soup or something. That to me is like, that's serene. That's Zen. It's never been a book and tea. I've always read, but reading has always been something I look at as work. That is, for me, it is a little bit more of a chore, and I do it because I know it's valuable. But you need to find your Zen happy place. My point is that the equation works for me. I know that I would never be a great chef, and I know that because I would never give it what it needs. It requires your entire life to be a great chef. Yeah. I can be acclaimed at what I do, and still have a large life outside of work, which I do. I'm a very social person now. I have a very small group, but I'm very social. And, there's no way I'd be giving up my Fridays and Saturdays and Thursdays. There's just no way. It would never happen. Right. So it's got to be a very strategic plan, looking at life and scratching the itches in the most strategic ways possible, and that's where I've gotten ahead, really, more than anything else.
Yeah. No, amazing. Do you believe in hard work? So I had this discussion with one of our students a few episodes ago on the same show as well, and we were talking about like working hard and putting in the effort in school. So personally, I put it the first year I was here and studying, I put in a lot of effort. I did my, got good grades. I showed effort. I showed, what I'm capable of. And because of it, I'm able to do this, what I'm doing with you right now. It's all because I did well in school. I showed my talents, and someone said, "Oh, this guy's very interesting. You know what? Let's have him also on the team. Let's involve them in this amazing project." So, with that being said, do you think that, do you believe in hard work?
Yeah, I believe in leverage, right? I believe in leverage, and you need to build that. If you're building from scratch, like most people are, you have nothing until you have leverage, until you've got a portfolio, right? When I started my creative agency, I realized what I wanted to do, and I realized how profitable it could be, and I realized how great life could be. And I immediately said, I need a portfolio. Because without a portfolio, I've got no leverage. There's no reason. I'm going to waste a meeting on on when I say waste, I mean I'm going to take a meeting when I get one chance, and the likelihood of conversion is going to be lower, much lower, dramatically lower than it would be if I had a larger portfolio or portfolio at all, right? And that is a scary thought, because you say, okay, shit, rewind. I can't waste business development stage. This cannot be wasted. My contacts cannot be wasted. I don't have enough of them. So let's go back to the drawing board and let's put in the work, right? And not only put in the work, but then, take a microphone about the work and tell everyone about why it was incredible. I never waste a good project. I tell everyone when I deliver a kick-ass project, everybody knows. Right. And it's not because I'm egotistic. It's not because I want you to know how smart I am. No, fuck that. It gets me the next client. Right. I don't even really I am a G-list celebrity, right? In YouTube's face. I have 130,000 subscribers. That is not a lot of subscribers. Right. Even in business. Right. Even if my business does $6 million or $8 million, that is a very small business compared to people that I socialize with, right? I know my place in the pecking order, and it's fairly close to the beginning, right? Close to the bottom, right? So it's not a matter of getting credit or getting awareness. It's a matter of leveraging that success to build future success. That's it. And anyone that knows me, I like to go on a little bit of a rant when after a scotch, and I like to pontificate. So do most people, right? But none of this is about that. None of this is about the world knowing what I do. My mom gets really mad at me now because our friends, our social friends, have no idea that I have a real job. They have no idea that I'm successful. No clue. None. Zero. No idea. They think that I am like a kid with a little company, and I don't care. That is just fine by me. And my mom gets mad because she says, like they all think that you're like an idiot, And I said, that's fine, right? Just treat me like Christian. This does not need to be about money. I don't need to be impressive to you. I don't care. Let's just have some fun. Okay, this is not for me about grandstanding. I know it can look that way to someone, but it is not at all. Right? This is just about the only way to build my business is to beat your own drum. So have something to beat your drum with. You have to get the hammer. But after that, it's just about business, man. It's just about business.
Yeah, talk about business. Yeah, of course, listeners don't know, but you have a vintage watch store, Theo Harris. What made you start?
Yeah, so I started a vintage watch store about 8 years ago, selling vintage Rolex and Omega, right? So piggybacking off celebrity of those names. The business, started I started the business with $9,000. To give you a little bit of color, most of our competitors other vintage watch stores start with millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I started mine with no investor, with $9,000, $9,200. So it was a joke. And I grew that business into, several $1 million business. It's a terrific business. I love it very much. But really the true gift of the business was not the money that I have made. The true gift was it took my, just storytelling ability that I had developed on a personal level and put it to professional use. I began storytelling with function about these vintage watches to obviously sell, to sell more. Then I realized, wait, I'm using this skill to sell watches, which can, let's say, makes you $10. I can use this skill to sell anything for anyone. So I went from selling watches to selling the service. And now we do that through my creative agency that I started about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. Now we do it with brands in all different spaces: finance, healthcare, sports, anywhere. It doesn't matter. I never think about client compatibility. It's not an issue for me at all. At all. There is no medium that we can't sell. There is no medium we can't sell within, rather. So that's been the journey. The creative agency is called LMF New York, and it's a great company. It's phenomenal.
I've always wondered what those letters actually mean. What does the element?
Nothing.
What does the M mean?
Nothing. This is the second time I did that. With my first company, Theo Harris, that meant nothing. I am a Thelonious Monk fan. He's a jazz pianist. That was Theo, but that's nothing. I mean, it's really nothing. And LMF the same. That doesn't matter to me. People stress over names and logos for so long, and I don't know. I think it's part of my whole philosophy about just jumping. Just jump. Just go. Like in retrospect, should I have named it LMF? I don't know. I maybe not. Maybe there's a cooler name. I don't care. It just doesn't matter. This is not. I'm not doing this for fun. This is to make money. That's it. It doesn't matter.
I will give you credit. It's a good name. It is a good name.
Thank you. And that's all. And that's what I needed. Right? All I needed it to be was good. It's a good name. That's it. It's good. Easy to remember. Yeah. I like my email. My email is c@lmfnyc.com. Everyone remembers it. Everyone loves it. Great. Easy. Done.
Yeah. No, definitely. How did media impact your life, but of course also your business? So I would not have known Theo Harris if it weren't for the YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. So that's been like a major role, I would assume, also in the development or in the growth of your business. But yeah, how is it how is it impacted what you do?
Yeah. So you mean with LMF?
Also LMF, but also before LMF.
Yeah. So I looked at before I started the YouTube channel with Theo and Harris, which was about 8 months into the company, somewhere around there. I was writing articles, and I was writing I was looking for the white space in the industry. And the watch industry had a lot of articles, a lot of reviews. It was very journal heavy at the time. What it didn't have was kind of like Barstool, very college, written, very honest, non-paid, meaning brands were not sponsoring it, reactions to industry news. That was the white space that I found, right? That was my point of differentiation. And that was good. It was good. And it definitely got our brand position down, because till today, we take that position. We take that very, unbiased. We have sponsors now, but still very unbiased, very raw, very, smart but not polished kind of approach to the wristwatch industry. But the articles themselves weren't getting as much traction as they would need to. That wasn't my real skill. The real white space rather was YouTube. It was video content. Our competitors were not putting out YouTube content. They just weren't doing it. And it was actually not me that thought of the idea. It was my dad. My dad one night, said, "What the fuck are you doing writing these articles? Who cares about these articles?" Which is kind of a very critical thing to say to your son. Hey, that thing that you spend all day doing, no one gives a fuck. You know that. You need to be on video. You're much better on video. And I was like, okay. So I did that. And it was brilliant. He was right. I am not good at YouTube. I am not good at understanding how to use YouTube. No one on my team is really, which is funny. I definitely should have hired a better YouTube manager years ago. But we were good at creating content, right? We were good at creating content, rather, in complete sense. We were good at creating content that was unique, and in that very branded, that had a function to sell watches. We were good at creating content that with a voice that was unique and trusted. People said, he's young and he's a little bit angry, but I just fucking trust that guy. I just trust Christian, because of my approach, so we were good at it. And it started to do well after about a year. And it was certainly the only reason why we sold watches. It was the only point of success. Now, our YouTube, almost single-handedly, with Instagram as well, but the YouTube disproportionately, helped us build a multi-million-dollar vintage watch business. Fine, great, cool. The more interesting, opportunity that it created. Who watches watch content, right? The people that watch content are people that are interested in watches. Fine. Who is interested in watches? Well, the audience is disproportionately male, the entire industry audience. Fine. The audience is within a age bracket that is really professional. So 20 to 55, okay? And disproportionately high income, right? Not quite as good as maybe an investment channel, like an investment channel, but still really good. Luxury, people who consume luxury content are higher income, more important people, more corporate important people. So I said, wait, hold on. Sure, I could keep selling watches on YouTube, fine. But these are all LMF clients. Not all, but disproportionately, these are people that I'm trying to sell watches to that really could be allocating me their creative budgets, that either run marketing at their companies or run a different department and would happily introduce me to their marketing team, right? Whether they work for Bank of America or they work for the MLB doesn't matter, right? There's 130,000 people or there's a million minutes a month of people that watch us that would recommend, me personally, Christian, to their marketing manager at their company. That's why LMF has been able to do well, because I thought I was creating a funnel to sell watches, and I wasn't. I was creating a funnel I didn't even realize, but I was creating a funnel to sell marketing services, right? To sell LMF's product.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because you've mentioned this word a couple of times already, so I think let's delve into it a bit more deeply. How important is storytelling, if we talk about the micro sense, but media in general today, in your opinion?
How important is it? Oh my God.
We have 2 seasons of this, so
this is a tough one because I'm answering. And it's not me trying to figure out an answer. It's me trying to figure out what answer won't get me in trouble. The reality is that the narrative on almost anything that we know in America, but also I think quite a bit internationally as well, what we believe to be stipulated facts are untrue. They are strategic. And they are part of a larger plan for personal interest, usually of money, and they are to create division. And the facts truly don't matter because our media system understands that their content can be so powerful, and to never let fact get in the way of a good story. So the answer to your question, how important is media? Media has the power to create its own reality. So I use media to get more people to watch baseball or more people to watch golf. I use media to sell franchises of pool fence companies. I use media in what I look at as, in good ways or net neutral ways, right? Just as people spend money, right? That's it. It's far more powerful than that. I use my ability, I wouldn't say for the good, but for the neutral. And there are people just as good as I am at this and better that can use this very potent tool in much more insidious ways. So it is the most powerful tool that we've got, and it's not used well all that often. So I'm not one of the good guys, but at least I'm not one of the bad guys. I mean,
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, what is your like philosophy on storytelling? Because you are very much into storytelling. To be honest, why I'm always amazed by you is because of the stories that you tell. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you said that you learn to tell stories well. Well, you do have the knack for it. You're very good at it. So
Thank you.
respect to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is your philosophy with stories?
I don't know if I have a philosophy about stories. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, nothing that hasn't been said about arcs and I don't know if I have a philosophy about storytelling apart from understanding the power of it. Um, I know better storytellers than me. My friend Joe, if Joe's listening, maybe he might at some point, is a better storyteller than I am. He's incredible. He's also from Brooklyn. He's also Italian, and he's better than I am. He just never trained his ability. He is a natural. He's also a naturally incredible singer as well, which is bizarre. But you know, it is certainly innate. Fine, but it's a practice. It's a practice. For the way I look at it is, you know, it can be entertainment, just the same thing as filmmaking, right? It's great. It's great entertainment, but I use it for a function, right? My function is rarely to entertain. That is purely social. When I'm going out to dinner with my friends this Saturday, and I will tell stories, and it will be purely for entertainment. I don't do that at work. It is not for entertainment at all. It is built with a specific
Hmm.
function, just the same way as my approach to life is my product. This is not about looking pretty. It's not about just making you feel warm. Those are all tactics. There has to be a function to the story for anyone to pay for it. Or people buy shitty marketing all the time. But for the marketing to be worth anything, there's got to be a function here. And I think the reason that I understand that is because I I didn't eat unless watches sold for a long time. So it had to be functional. um, yeah, these other folks that work at media companies and marketing agencies, they have salaries. You know, they don't know if it
Mm.
moves. They never sold anything in their life. They never sold anything in their life,
Yeah.
which has been part of my sales pitch to clients for years. You know, you're going to give your money to someone to sell your product that's never sold anything, but their product. Come on, come on. I
Yeah.
took $9,300 and turned it into a few million off of functional storytelling. You know, come on, go tell somebody
Yeah.
else.
Definitely. I think some people are more like good in creating those stories or finding those ways, and some are more like yeah, like searching or picking out those stories. So I guess the example that I could give is Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison, because Nikola Tesla worked for Thomas Edison, and Thomas Edison was the person who picked out all the, let's say, genius inventors. Some people have a knack for that. Some people are actually good at creating, like Nikola Tesla, like really actually like creating something new. Which
Yeah,
kind of mold would you put yourself into?
it's a good question. I don't know if what I create is new. I don't think it's new. I mean, you know, I think some of the brand speak that we use, somewhere on some article somewhere was, of the elixirs that move people to action. Uh, One of my favorites is nostalgia. Look at what I stipulated there, right? I didn't create the elixir, right? This works. This does something. I'm an operator. I'm an operator of it. I know how to pour it because there's a technique, but it already exists. I don't think that we invented anything. I don't think I invented anything. Yeah, I just think that
Mm.
we understand that it's not just art; it is a functional art, and it's not gratuitous. It has to work. You know, um, I'm not up my own ass either. These a lot of people get up their own ass when it comes to storytelling and creative, and yeah, we're really good at it. Really good at it. We work with some amazing people. It's not just me; it's a whole team of people. And they're great. But you know, if they weren't shooting on goal, right? Which is where I come in, right? I calibrate everyone. I make sure that they're leveraging their abilities, whether it's in narrative or in film or in 30-second commercials or whatever it might be. I make sure that those stories are, if I'm not writing them, which I usually am a lot of the time, or for our big clients I'm making sure that those stories have a razor sharp edge and could cut your throat, right? In theory, as opposed to a spoon, right? This dull edged object. Okay, and no matter how pretty the spoon is, it's if it's not sharp, it's not sharp, right? And so I that's what I always tell our clients, right? I sharpen these tactics or these stories to make sure that when they come in contact with their enemy, I use it in very violent terms, I suppose, but you're bleeding out. That's the whole idea. That's the whole idea.
Mm. Yeah. Did you ever at one point think of stopping doing videos for Theo and Harris when you were like, I guess in, let's say, growth stages, but was there ever a moment where you're like, I can't do this anymore?
No. I liked it. I've got frustrated and bored by it sometimes, for sure. But no, I mean, it's, the company would wither, the company would wither, like, it would atrophy. That's the main, product, isn't the watches. People buy watches because they're there and we sell them, sure. But no, they want the content. That's why my company, that's why Theo and Harris is relevant at all, Now, and we also keep a very diversified portfolio. I never wanted to be a YouTuber ever, right? I could be on YouTube. I never wanted to be a YouTuber. YouTuber is a very specific, it's a very specific job. And those people are looked at very specifically, when I go to, in very specific manners rather, when I go to industry events and I'm standing with a group of YouTubers, many of them are larger than I am, but we are looked at very differently. The conversations I have with the brand heads are very different than the conversations that other YouTubers are having with the brand heads. We're having more serious, more strategic. We're having conversations that I think that they care about a little bit more, because I'm a businessman that happens to be on YouTube, as opposed to. Sorry about that. My phone died. My apologies. I'm also not a tech guy.
No worries. I felt like it was like you were kind of like creating a show right there. You were putting in a suspense and then just stopped. I was like, oh wait,
yeah.
When's the ending? When's the ending?
That's funny. You're like, oh, this is storytelling, right?
Yeah, this is the way it goes. This is how it happens. But yeah, I mean, if you want to finish a point, you can, or do you want me to?
Yeah, no, I think where we ended off was a businessman on YouTube. I think that's a complete thought.
Yeah. How important is it to have a team when this comes to media operation, but of course also in business? How important has it been to you?
Yeah, well, it's a big difference between LMF and some of our competitors. Is we're not freelancers. It's a lot of times you have when it comes to a lot of corporate marketing work, a lot of freelancers will bid for jobs. You want to go with a freelancer, go right ahead. That's what I tell people. That's what I tell clients. Go right ahead. Enjoy. Go save a little bit of money. I wouldn't do it, but God bless you. And I don't need to say anything more than that. Right? We have a full team of people, very smart people, very capable people, that are in their own disciplines, brilliant, brilliant people, hardworking people. I've created a culture at my company that is, we keep no prisoners. It's when you hire our company, you're hiring a group of very careful, very methodical people that with a culture of just unrelenting, over delivering. That's what we do. So yeah, it wouldn't be possible without a team. I like selling luxury products, and it's a luxury service as well. And I like finding people that pay for those luxury services and products. So for me, a team is everything. You need a team. I'm also someone that can't really be bothered with things that I view are out of my realm. I hire people to make sure that things are done, things you don't want to do. I think that's very important for entrepreneurs. You can save money by doing all of the, menial tasks. You could do that, but I think it's playing short game. It's penny wise, dollar foolish. Because when you have the freedom to think macro and to think big picture and grow something, that's where really special things happen. I have
Mm.
friends that are fantastic friends. I have one friend who's I'm going to see him in a little bit. Phenomenal guy, phenomenal guy. But he does too much of his own bullshit.
Mm.
And no one's to say that you're above that. I'm not above anything. I'm not above anything. But the business does better when I have, when I'm a mile away, theoretically, and have the ability to think larger. Some of our greatest decisions were made, again, over a scotch when I'm thinking, not when I'm
Mm.
doing the grunt work. And then 6 months of grunt work follow that thought. But those are the months that you end up materializing and building, income, right? But yeah, doing the grunt work, not having a team, trying to go solo, it doesn't work. It's not scalable.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, it's not scalable. At a certain point, at the beginning, you kind of have to do it. Even I'm currently doing it. Like,
In the beginning, you have to do it completely. In the beginning,
yeah,
you have to do it. If you don't have money, you don't have money. I didn't have any money at Theo and Harris, right? That's it. That's it. But as soon as you do, I would sooner find people that are good and worthy and that can help than I would move into a better apartment, for sure.
mm, yeah,
You know,
yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, an employee here. I just take care of organic content, but I do most things
yeah,
alone. I have two cameras, which are in the background filming, big light, a microphone here. I'm creating posts, I'm doing editing, I'm doing all the things. But even, I'm at the point, I'm like, okay, you know what? I need some help.
yes,
At a certain point,
of
it grows
course,
too large, and you already kind of figure out, like, okay, I'm good at this, I'm not that good at this. I think someone else can do it better who I know. And really, yeah,
hundred
delegating
percent.
those roles, it's a powerful thing. Powerful.
And like when you're running something, mental health is very important. You can really hustle and you can burn out for a week. That's fine. That's fine. But that cannot be your reality. It stifles creativity. It stifles growth. People think that hustling is healthy. It's healthy when you need it to be. When you need to hustle, that's fine. Ruin a week, ruin a weekend. That's fine. I'm the king of that, right? I ruined so many dates and so many friendships, really. Because I work too much. It's fine. I missed a lot of great moments. Okay,
Mm.
because I work too much. But it's because it had to be done. It wasn't because I was saving money. It's never because I'm saving money. I'm trying to build something larger. So saving, $50,000 for argument's sake, that brings me no closer to my goal. $50,000 brings me no closer to my goal.
Yeah. Do you think it's important to know what you want to do in life? So it's rather me knowing, okay, this is my purpose, or you know what, let me just, shoot the dart somewhere in the dark and let's see where it lands.
Um, I think the most important thing is knowing is you know what you're good at. Um, I don't. Yeah, know what you're good at and kind of do that. I don't really believe in following your passion. I don't really believe in it. Um, I think that you are true. Everyone is truly passionate about being good at something. They're truly passionate about the acclaim that they get.
Mm.
I'm famous for calling clients when we deliver projects. I love to hear their voice. I love it. When I there is a very small list of people I like cooking for. Very small list. My friend Sam, I love cooking for him. I love it. We've been best buds since we're little. He doesn't look at it like a big dick competition. I'm a better cook than he is. It doesn't bother him. Um, when I serve dinner to four on a Sunday, I had more fun cooking than I did serving it. I don't really want because if you don't like it, I don't want to hear that because I'm going to tell you don't understand it. You don't, you don't
Yeah.
understand it a lot of the time. If it truly does miss the mark, I hate that too. I fucking hate that, and I'm the first person that has to say it out loud. I messed this up. I'm sorry, guys. That sucks too. And when it's great, you never get the credit. When it comes to work, when it comes to LMF, when I deliver a project and I get to hear that client's voice say, "Oh my God," I don't look at it as a compliment to my creativity. I'm salivating at the work we're going to get off of the back of this. I'm salivating off the fact that I'm gonna turn this little success into $1 million or whatever. When I knock it out of the park with a client, I'm not particularly proud of the project. It's neither here nor there. I don't really care. I just say, "Holy shit! Look what we're going to be in 6 months. We're going to be fucking huge." Because you love the acclaim when it comes to work. It's not the work itself. It's not.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It's making me think a little bit. But yeah, you were given a lot of good advice during this whole interview without you knowing, or without, you consciously already kind of knowing that you're giving this out. But what kind of advice would you give to the younger version of yourself today? So let's say when you were 18, 19, taking that first step to college. Again, I'm definitely butchering this, but would you give some what's that one piece of advice that you would give?
Truthfully, I buy more property. Buy more. I mean, that's, and I hate real estate. I really do. And I don't even look at it like I would have made money. I look at it like there were some irresponsible financial decisions that I made with investing that I wish I hadn't made. And if my money was tied up in real estate, I wouldn't have made them. I wouldn't have had the ability to make them. So that's it. And I'm very lucky that all worked out. But if you only get one shot, and I didn't only get one shot. I mean, I've gotten, which is why it's all okay. Right? A bad story, in retrospect, so long as it's all good now, it's a funny story. But no, I think I got a little bit egotistic with my money, and I lost enough of it for it to matter to almost anyone. Again, luckily, I built another business and did really well, and blah 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 blah. Everything's great, yada yada yada. But no, I mean, I misinvested too much money.
Yeah, but in your wiring, let's say the way that you are wired, the way that your emotions play, or the kind of maybe some choices. You said, of course, real estate, but yeah, is there anything that you can, I guess, give in terms of just, I don't know, motivation, or the way that you are wired as a person?
Geez, what advice would I give to 19-year-old self about my own wiring? The truth is, if I saw 19-year-old me, because 19-year-old me was just aspirational. He was all right. 23-year-old me was fucking around a little too much. Again, when you first start making a lot of money, you start to really think very highly of yourself, and you think that everything's going to be like you're the king of the world and nothing can hurt you. I definitely would have said to myself, well, chill out. That's it. That's all. I would love to give you this brilliant piece of advice, but for me personally, now, if you were asking the question, what would I give 19-year-old? That's different. The 19-year-old me, I would have just, if I said anything at all, because I may have just looked at it from across the room and just kind of said, he's going to have to learn some way. He's going to have to learn. And thankfully it all works out in the end. It all works out. By 27, you're wise and you've got great businesses and everything's good. You're good. But no, at the time, I mean, I made plenty of bad decisions. And never, not with drugs or anything like that. I never did drugs, but I made plenty of bad decisions. But again, it's because I was wrestling with that childhood inadequacy. It was building a business, making money through Theo and Harris was only one of the ways I was wrestling with that emotional issue. I was just drinking too much and being a little too erratic with people and starting fights. I mean, I could have, I would have just chilled out a little bit more. If I chilled out a little bit more, if I learned my lessons the easier way, that would have been nice. But I say to myself now, I mean, I know how I sound. A lot of the time I sound like an old man that with very sage wisdom. But I think it's really because I really learned a lot of things the hard way. Yeah, I really did. So yeah, I feel like I lived a whole lifetime, like between 20 and 24. Like those 4 years were just crazy, and I could have addressed my self-worth uh, in a way that was kinder to myself,
Yeah.
and I didn't.
I'm asking this question because I find it quite difficult to answer even myself. Because I'm also, you all kind of mentioned it, but I'm in the thought as well that I don't know if I would actually want to change anything that really was me previously, because that's what has led up to me, being here. This year has been, in my opinion, the best year. Everything's just been growing. I could say, yeah, it's because of the small thing I did this year, but it's really all the years accumulating to this exact point. And
Oh yeah,
yeah, and I mean, I guess I could give myself some advice. Oh, be more. You should have been more social, because I'm still feeling that effect right now. But I guess that antisocialness got me to do certain things that have
exactly,
helped me be here.
exactly. Exactly. Uh, I have a very small group of friends, very, very, very small. I am not popular, and I have no interest in being popular. I love my friends, and that's it. That being said, would I have, yes, would I have had more fun in the 27 years I've been alive if I had more friends, specifically in the last 5 years? Yes, I would have. Yes. I never, only in my last relationship did I travel with a girl. I should have done that all along. It's fun. It's fun for nothing else. You see something new, you know, I wasn't social enough. But that being said, you're right. That a little bit asocial tendency, it's really conducive to being introspective and and building something large. It's very conducive.
Yeah, definitely. The final question before we wrap up, I guess. I don't. It might be difficult for you to answer. We'll see how it goes. I don't have an answer for this personally, but what would make you stop doing what you are doing? Like truly, like what? Like put your, I guess, feet up in the onto a table and just be like, relax. I'm taking a step away. Is there some? Is there even a thought of it? Are you with a thought of it? You know what? It's gonna be for my
No,
whole life.
no, nothing, nothing. Nothing. The jackpot lottery, this past couple of weeks was like $1 billion or something. I was laughing. I said, "Oh, well, what would happen if I won? What would I do if I won $1 billion?" It's like nothing, like almost nothing different. And it's easy to say when you don't have $1 billion, but I look at this as like a lot of unfinished business. I have a lot of unfinished business. I need to see this through. That would be an interesting question after LMF is done. When LMF is done and I sell it or whatever, that's a good question. What's next? You going to relax? Because I don't know what's next. I have no idea what's next. No clue. I don't know how long I'll have this company for. It could be 20 years. I don't know. You know, I have no idea. But no, I will not stop this until I look at it as a success. And it is very successful. It is not a success yet. It is not met. It has not reached the height that I needed to reach for me to consider it finished business. It is
Mm.
unfinished business. Theo and Harris is finished business. I love Theo and Harris. That's why I keep it. It's finished. Theo and Harris is finished. I did it. It's over. I aspire to no greater height with Theo and Harris. Zero.
Mm.
It is a pretty small YouTube channel. I learned how to sell watches. I took that ability and sold it to large corporations, started LMF. Theo and Harris is done. I don't care if we get another 200,000 subs. It means nothing to me.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh, yeah, that's powerful. I mean, I guess wrapping up, do you, like, does it put a smile to your face of getting all these types of messages that say, you know, oh, you've helped me out so much, you're such an inspiration. Like, how does that affect you? Are you grateful for it? Do you take it for granted?
Um, I do not take it for granted. No, no, it is probably one of the best parts of my life. It probably is. Life is really, really hard, and I hope to be a dad someday. But even if I am not, I feel that I have done some fatherly or unclely duty to thousands of particularly young men. And I'm very passionate about helping young men. It's really hard being a man. It's a very difficult business. It's very stressful. Um, a lot is expected of you. Um, Men are not loved unconditionally. Not, it's very conditional love. It's very hard business. So if I like that's probably a crowning jewel, and I would never stop it, never.
Yeah. I would also probably be the same. I think there's, like, some people, of course, I guess, attach some kind of like end to money, but you will never get happy. You will never be like truly happy once you hit it. You really
No,
won't.
no, no.
Yeah.
People ask me, well, what do you think rich is? I'm like, that's such a stupid question, right? Because everyone sounds like such an asshole when you say it. What is rich? I don't know. But people say $20 million is rich. I said 12 million isn't. 12 million is not rich. I don't know. To me, $12 million sounds like a lot of money. I don't know.
It's a lot of money,
If I find $50 in my pocket of jeans I haven't worn, I'm like, this is a great day. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even it doesn't, again, I'm a regular guy. I have no, I have no aspiration to like amass significant wealth. Virtually none.
yeah.
To like prove that you could do it, but like, what the fuck am I going to do with it? Nothing. When I buy shit that I can afford, sometimes I'm like, ugh, I wish I didn't buy it. I just feel gross. I just feel gross. I spent $32,000 last week on a white gold Rolex. It's great. It's very cool. As soon as I bought it, I was like, what am I doing with this? I look like an idiot. What the fuck is wrong with me? Who needs this? This is stupid. Okay. Because there's a
Yeah.
guilt. There's guilt associated with it, with spending it. Yeah, that's why my simplest pleasure is like, it sounds stupid, but like, a little bit of guanciale, a little al dente pasta, maybe some sheep's milk. It's just fucking good, man. It's been good forever, and it will always be good. It is not food for the stomach. It is food for the soul, man. Like, it sounds stupid, but it's true.
Yeah. That's
How rich do you need to
that.
be to afford that?
Not to be honest, I think you can go just to a supermarket and really buy those things.
Exactly. I got it in my fridge, man. Like, come on,
Yeah.
So that's how I feel.
Look, it's been amazing. Truly, you've given so much advice, and you have been an inspiration to me, of course, but also hopefully now also multiple students and to whomever listens to this.
I
So
hope so.
yeah, thank you again for coming on. You can say this is just going to be a goodbye for the listeners, let's say, but I do have a few words afterwards as well. But thank you so
Yeah.
much for taking the time to speak to me or speak to us.
No, thank you guys so much for listening. This was a pleasure. And yeah, shoot me an email anytime if you've got any questions, not about me, but like about you, or if you want any advice or whatever. I'm happy. I'm happy to do anything I can do to help anyone listening. I really mean that.
Yes, amazing. Yeah, enjoy your days, everyone. Take care. If you enjoyed this interview as much as I did, then make sure to like and share it with your friends as well. Also, follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get our content from. Till next time, take care.